Adrian and I, against all odds, kind of, found each other and made it work. What could have been really complicated and messy and hard was actually really beautiful and I think, quite redemptive and amazing.
Welcome to the heart of it. We are recording on Gadigal land. Hi, sweetheart.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, we'll get straight into the chat, shall
why
we?
not?
Today's guests are not just media legends. They're people who've built deep, meaningful relationships on and off the air.
Hey.
Ash London and Adrian Bryan are here to talk about love, friendship, connection, and what we don't always say out loud.
Oh,
Right?
Oh.
that's very deep of you, honey.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, darlings.
I wasn't nervous until now. What does that mean?
Yeah, we're going
What's that
deep,
mean?
Adrian. Straight
Oh my
in,
gosh.
straight
Have you
down.
guys gone through our texts?
I
and
know.
our WhatsApps?
I actually pulled the last bit off a media release from you two.
Oh,
Is that
So
right?
you can blame that one on your publicist.
Love that.
Because I'm curious about that thing, about what we don't always say out loud.
yeah.
What's that line? Have you got it in front of you in some sort of or has a producer pulled it from something and just pasted onto a fact sheet?
It
Yeah.
came via email from our producer, who's known, we've just found out, is known as Producer X. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It
there's a
sounds
little mystery
mysterious.
in that.
Did it come from a Tibetan book of relationships or something?
Maybe.
It's
Sounds like it.
very
Maybe.
Tibetan.
It's come from AI, guys, and I don't believe it.
All right.
You know
We've
what?
been misquoted.
I think that could be closer to the truth, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I think the best actors are the ones that use very little words and you can just get the vibe off them. So,
Just
But
the
this is
vibe.
radio podcasting, so we do need words.
That's true.
Well, let's just take you back to your beginnings, though, because we always love to hear the beginnings of a love story. How did your relationship start?
Let's go, babe. I've heard this story about 18,000 times.
I love to
Ash
tell it.
loves to retell the story, and I
Me
love to watch
too.
you guys as you are told the story. So let's
Okay,
go.
okay,
Thank
go,
you.
go.
So it was the ARIA Awards, and I should know the year. 2016, did we
2016,
decide?
I
Yeah.
think.
So I had been working at our radio company doing a night show, and I got dumped. And I was so heartbroken that I ran away to a desert island and, tried to find myself. Very eat, pray, love. Went traveling for a while, tried to move to London, couldn't get a visa, yada, yada, yada. Ran out of money. And I got a call from back in Sydney, and my manager pretty much said to me, "Look, Ash, you're going to run out of money if you haven't already. You need to just wrap this up, come home. Someone wants to speak to you about a job." So I came home with my tail between my legs, kind of thinking I'd screwed my whole life up by, I thought I was going to do all this stuff, and I'm coming home to Sydney and I'm broke and no one loves me and I didn't find love. And long story short, I get offered a new show, my own show, the Ash London Live. I start doing that, and then about a month and a half in, I'm at the ARIA Awards. And I kind of made a decision that day. I told my producer, I'm going to hook up with someone tonight because I never do that. And YOLO, I'm back. I'm 30. I'm going to hook up with someone.
Sure.
And instead
A
of
rock
having,
star.
which is so not me.
Out of character.
Very out of character.
Cam.
But what is very in character is that instead of just randomly hooking up with someone, a man walked in late while the Veronicas were covered in red body glitter and parading around the stage. A man walked in with our big boss, and I said to my friend Angus, "Who's that?" And he said, "Oh, that's AB." I said, "What? Introduce me. I'm going to marry him." I just I legitimately lived full on. And then the whole night I was trying to get people, because it was the ARIAs are you're sitting in your seat and you have to watch you can't be chatting. We shouldn't be chatting. But I was just introduce me. So we had to wait till intermission, and then we got introduced. And Yeah, I texted my girlfriends like dodgy photos of him from like across the thing. Like,
Yeah.
get out
Oh,
this guy.
God, wow.
Like
Sleuth
real
work.
sad.
Stalker.
Yep.
Totally. And then we
Should have
found
been
it.
a red flag
You-
right there. Should have been real warning signs.
You didn't have a
at this
chance.
point. I
No.
know. The claws were in, and I was like, jeepers.
And
I
then
loved
it went out in the group with the group girlfriends. You knew,
Yeah.
you were done.
Once
deal.
it's with the girls.
That's right.
Yeah,
you-
done.
You're
No
not
going
taking
back.
that back. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we found each other at an after party that night at the Intercontinental in Sydney. And we just kind of found a corner and talked all night. And I walked away. Nothing happened, but I walked away knowing that I'd met my guy and we started dating. We were living in different cities at the time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we
And
started-
I was going away on a trip that I had planned. So some wild oats. But, there wasn't a chance for that, was there? Once
Well,
we
there's
met,
a
I was
common
like, okay.
denominator here going on. You were looking for wild oats that night, Ash, and Adrian's
Yeah.
planning on grabbing some somewhere. So you're both right for the picking.
We were.
Yeah,
it's good
totally.
timing. Timing's everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And then went on our first date that was
Months
November.
later.
Yeah, that was kind of January, February, our first date. And we didn't really even have to have a conversation. It was just like, oh, well, this is it. And it was a very easy thing. And it always had to be, I think, for me, because I got the ick really quickly with guys, like the
Yeah.
smallest little thing. And I'd be like, bleh. But with
Yeah.
him, there was no ick.
And
Ick-free
still no
zone.
ick.
Different story now, though. No, I was going
I was going to say
different
7 years
story.
later, no ick.
Let's get into that. What are the icks now, babe? What do we need to talk about?
Well,
Is
so
it a good
what's
forum?
made it last 7 years? What's been the key? Well, what are some of the key things that have made it last?
I guess we've always been really good at just like talking, like honest conversations and talking. We're 7 years in. This is probably where that kind of falls apart for people, and you sort of drift a little bit, I suppose, if you're not kind of coming back and reconnecting. And that is hard. We have a 3.5-year-old, and he is full on, and it can really take over your life unless you kind of really work at it. And we kind of do have to give ourselves that little jolt every now and then, just to be like, hey, it's been a while since we actually like looked each other in the eye and
Yeah.
had a little chat, or
Sure.
actually held hands doing that thing that we used to like to do, or whatever it was. So you kind of have to force it in, but. Yeah, I think we are pretty good at that. And
Totally.
our life gets pretty hectic. We're both pretty busy work-wise and life-wise and all the things. So it's very easy to sort of go in other directions. So, yeah, I think that's probably been the key is we're able to come back together and
And we're always better together. Like we always
Better
say it, like
together.
we're just better together.
Yeah.
So if for the 8 to 9 years we've been together, there's been lots of times where we've been traveling, or one of us has been away, or whatever it is, and it's like an hour into whatever work trip it is, no matter how cool it is. And whoever's doing the traveling, it's so obvious as soon as we're apart, like, oh God, we just both function so much better when we are together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've forced a lot of conversations, and I am just
and I willingly have my
Yeah.
arm twisted into having them and everything's fine.
yeah, you just don't let things fester, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you each know your roles, so that works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm definitely like the painfully positive one, and I'm all about like just if something's broken, we fix it. So like,
Yeah,
okay,
nice.
you're not happy in this area. What can we do to fix that? Whereas Adrian's a bit slower and more methodical about things, so I think it's a good little balance. I kind of jump into just like, okay, let's fix it. Especially as a parent, I don't leave space for Buddy to struggle with anything. Whereas Adrian's very much a bit more like just, like put the brakes on, just relax. So we
Compliment.
we complement each other
in
like that.
way.
Yeah, I just kind of jump in, and he's very much takes 15 years to make any decision in life. But that's fine.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But let's talk about you not picking up your stuff and like,
I'm
not
so
cleaning
messy.
the house and, like,
I'm so foul.
We can talk about that stuff, can't we?
Yeah.
We can. But Adrian, I do love to hear the proposal story. Did you do something special? Did you know it was coming, Ash? Like how did that go for you?
Yeah. Okay. So I think probably Ash did know it was coming. So we found the ring very early. So we were just out doing normal sort of everyday stuff, shopping, spending money.
Still
we
living in
didn't
separate
have.
cities.
Yeah, living in separate cities, and we'd come together and we were just shopping, and then, there's a jewellery store. Should we have a look in there? Just to get a bit of an idea of, if it was ever to happen. And it was just there. The ring was there, this ruby ring, and Ash kind of fell in love with this ring.
3 3 months after we started dating.
This was not very long after we started dating. Yeah.
Right.
It was very soon. When you know,
Yep.
And so I think very soon after that, I'd gone back to that shop and sort of whatever, put it on hold or paid for it. I can't really remember, and made them hang on to it. And then because I knew that, soon enough there would be a time and a place that would be right, and I hadn't sort of planned that yet, but I just knew that, it was going to come. And then we had a trip to London for work again coming up, and I thought that'd be really cool. Maybe I'll do it there. But then I thought Ash was onto it. So I thought,
Really?
Yeah.
I
So
didn't think, that would have been fun.
Yeah. So
That was a fun
it's
trip.
good. That was a fun trip. So I left it out of that trip. I thought that'll be too
obvious.
Travelling with the
obvious.
rings, too
with the
scary
ring, I was
too.
too
Oh,
stressed about
logistics.
taking it. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
Probably didn't have air tags in those days either.
No,
True that.
No.
Yeah, you wanna lose your luggage.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't want to be panicked and not knowing where it was. If I'd lost it, I would have gone to water. So then I booked a weekend away, and it was in the Blue Mountains in Sydney, and probably already that wasn't out of character for us, so there wasn't any reason to be suspicious there. But yes, I had organised a collage of like photos of all of us together, and I'd had it made into a jigsaw puzzle.
Nice.
And down in the bottom right-hand corner of the jigsaw puzzle was, will you marry me? But the way that sort of like, how do you get into that on the morning of like, hey, do you want to do a jigsaw? I was like, I hadn't thought that far ahead. I was like, this would be so cute. And I was like, how the hell do I get us to do a jigsaw puzzle
nice
on a Saturday
segue.
afternoon? Yeah, exactly.
Radio
and
man.
that's exactly right. You would have thought I would have been better. But and that's exactly how badly it went. In fact, I think we were reading books and we were just
watching.
like
You said you want to watch a movie.
Oh, that's
and
right.
I was like,
watching a
yeah. And we
movie.
start watching the movie, but he's not watching the movie. He's
Yeah, I
so
was so
distracted. And I was like, what is going on? And at this point, I still really didn't know.
Yeah.
And I said, what is going on with you? Like, he's like, I don't feel like watching a movie. I made us a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he was so romantic. He did so many cute things like that it really was normal that he would just make a jigsaw of photos of us.
Yeah.
So I still didn't know he was proposing.
No, because
Right,
I'd put together the jigs, but I left the little corner like hidden under like on the side. So as we're getting through this jigsaw puzzle, you can blatantly see this whole corner
I'm
of the
getting pissed
puzzle.
off.
Like, have you missed some of the
Because
pieces?
you start with the corners. That's how you do a
Always.
jigsaw.
That's
And
how
I'm
you
like,
do it.
Adrian, there's only
Yeah.
3 corners here. You're setting me up
I
to
was
fail.
like,
And I was getting real pissed off.
No, maybe I have left some pieces at home or something. I don't know. So we get the whole thing done, and of course, then the corner is, there was these extra pieces that were under the plate. Oh my
Then I
gosh,
realised.
how did
That's
they get
good.
there? That's weird. And then we put it together, and then Ash realised, and then was overjoyed,
Yeah.
calling mum
Yeah.
straight away, and it's happened, and it was all very exciting, and it was lovely. And then we
But
got
that
to spend the rest
week
of the whole long
in-
weekend together.
That week, my mum did call and I was chatting. She lives in Melbourne. And I said, Adrian and I we might come, for dinner on Friday. And she said, that's lovely. I'll get to see Adrian twice in the week. I said, what do you mean? She said, he's coming over to have a chat with me on Wednesday. Right. And I just said, let's just pretend this conversation never happened, shall we, Mum? Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Because although I am the modern man, I am a bit old school, and I was like, I'm going to ask for permission or permission of
Yes.
sorts, or
Yes.
at least have a conversation. And we had a little dinner that night during the week, and she was wildly against the idea, and somehow I convinced her.
As
it would
if
be
she's
a good thing.
obsessed with Adrian. It's disgusting.
You paid her off. You
I
paid her
did,
off
yeah,
enough
I
to say
did.
yes.
What have you done?
That's
What
a
have you got?
great story.
It is a great story.
I love that
What,
story.
What have you done with the jigsaw puzzle? Is it framed somewhere?
Well,
We've moved a
so
lot.
many times in this little life. It will be in a bag, and it will be with the receipt for the ring, or
Yeah, in the treasure box.
certification of the
Yeah.
somewhere together,
In
packed
Storage
away in a
King.
nice, exactly. And we'll get it out again one day, and we'll try and put it together again.
He was very, very good with stuff like that, especially in that first kind of year that we were living in different cities. So we had to find opportunities to
Yeah.
have those special moments. He made albums. It was
Oh yeah,
so
I made
sweet.
that book. Remember with all the
Yes,
I
I
stayed up
remember.
like
With
what do you
glue.
call it? Like scrapbooking this book together that I stayed up. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it was
The things you do when
Lovely.
when you're young and in love.
Yeah.
so
eh?
true, right?
Yeah,
So
so-
true.
We
were.
we were young too, getting together. I think I asked Ali to marry me after 3 months, so of knowing
Yeah.
her.
You know.
Yeah, it was very.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing, Ash. When I saw Cam on Perfect Match and I was 16, I said I'm going to marry that guy one day.
Yes.
I know, but I think a million other women, young
Mine
girls
did
did
too.
too.
Yeah,
And
but
I
you-
just
you
somehow
got-
or another I cut through.
Yeah.
Well, my
done.
first I'm going to marry was Ricky Martin, which was not going to happen
Oh,
for
sure.
a multitude
Yeah,
of
no,
reasons.
actually.
Maybe never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are a relationship podcast. Obviously, we're talking about your relationship. A couple of years ago, there was a book came out about love languages. Are you guys, is love language eye roll, or are you true believers in that?
Nah.
I grew up in a Christian family, going to church a lot. So I think I kind of connect that to religion a little bit, which is where the only eye roll would come in.
Yeah.
However, I think there is some merit to the idea of having great, open, honest communication about how you feel love. Absolutely. And for
Yeah.
me, it's, what do you think mine is? Do you know them all? It's like words of
acts of
affirmation, acts of service,
service,
quality time,
quality time.
gifts.
Yep, gifts.
Something.
Yeah.
I think.
Isn't it the physical
Physical
part of it
touch,
too? Yeah.
absolutely.
Physical
Yeah,
touch.
physical
Yeah,
touch.
that should be in there. Well, I know that gifts,
Yeah, obviously. That's it. He's got it.
but not even like physical gifts. Like I don't think like giving you like a fancy diamond.
Yes.
That's not like a gift of like I've given you 2 hours on your own to go and get a massage is
Oh,
a nice
heaven,
that
yeah.
to you
Oh, yeah.
is like something.
Yeah, and you've been really good because Adrian isn't really one for gifts. But
No.
early on, he like
Because it's a waste of money.
He
Because I'm also tight and I don't like to spend money on things that are going to end up in a drawer that we're never going to look at again.
Right.
But he got on board very early.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of kind of beautiful items that he's, as well as the things he's made me over the years, a couple of beautiful things he's bought, which meant so much more because I know that you think it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think you know that mine is like, is it acts of service, the one when you like do things
Picking up
like
shit.
picking up shit
Yeah.
around the house
That's
or
literally
like
all it is.
doing things. But my favourite bit is like you like to just remind me that you've done those things so that I recognise the acts of service. Did you see that I cleaned the kitchen, babe? Yes.
Because
yes, I
it
did.
does not come remotely naturally to me. I
Yeah.
don't even notice the mess.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So my husband
Here we go.
is
It's right here. So we
Yes, that's right. Put
It's
earphones
a
on.
private joke between me and the kids as well. Or maybe it won't be anymore. I think Cam's onto it. Every time my husband vacuums, and we have this wonderful Dyson cleaner, and I'm not kidding, every time he comes and shows me what he's vacuumed, how much he's filled the vacuum thing up. Every single time. And it's like, and I have to go, that's amazing, honey.
How
That's-
good. I
Because
can't
we're
believe
also
you've done that.
performers. We need feedback. We need glory. It's in our DNA.
Yeah.
But this is where the Dyson, and I'm going to give them their kudos right here.
okay.
Their props
Yep.
where they're due. We've had so many crap vacuums.
We have.
Yeah.
Right? And then Al goes and spends all this money on a Dyson.
I was sick and tired of having crap vacuums
And-
and
Fair
then
call,
breaking
babe.
She
down.
buys this, like, it was all about the money, really, because it was like, really, is that going to be better than the Kogan one? You know? And anyway, so I used the Dyson, and holy crap, this
It
thing
is better than
this
all the
thing-
others, isn't it?
It absolutely.
We've had it
Yeah.
for a year. I think we could probably not still show.
But
how
I
much
still
you're
want to because
Yeah,
we've
I
got
hear ya.
we've got a thin as a chip carpet that's just
Yeah.
along a hallway, and it's probably about, I don't know, maybe it's 20 feet long. I don't know, the amount of shit that comes out of that carpet.
Yeah.
I
He's
can't.
still-
It fills up the whole tub, and
This
I'm
is
like,
our
Then you get to look
conversation.
at the tub.
Yeah.
And you get to empty the
Yes.
filter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got
You've
this little-
pets. Because you've got
I feel-
pets, it's even worse.
We do.
right, oh yeah.
Yeah,
But
you
I
know.
honestly I feel like James Bond emptying a cartridge because it's like, all this
Yeah.
stuff, and put it away, and
You're a hero, man.
Yeah,
You're a
I
hero.
feel like
You're a
it.
round of applause because I
Thank
think you
you.
should be really proud of yourself.
I think
You're
I need a
great
Dyson.
vacuumer.
Ash, I need a Dyson leather holster
Oh,
down
yeah.
my leg. That
I thought you
can
were going to
just-
say an
yeah.
ambassador to Dyson
Oh,
now.
no,
Well, if we
Take
keep
that.
talking about it, we might get one.
No,
Best
maybe.
things ever. Honestly, I love
Yeah.
them so much.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
And they
and
ship
you
to
want
New
my-
great deal.
Zealand. They do ship
If my
to New Zealand.
if my love language ever becomes gifts, I would like to be gifted a Dyson because that would two things for me. It means I get to clean easier.
Yeah, no, he just got me the Air Wrap for Christmas, so we've spent all
yeah.
our Dyson
Yeah,
money
yeah,
for
that
the year.
Dyson
But
money
you can
for
have
the
one
year's
next
done.
That's
year.
it.
That's right.
That's it. Yeah, I think we might be done for a little bit with the
Yeah.
vacuum. Adrian, has your view on love, has it evolved over the years? Did you have to unlearn something from now that you're married and you've been together for 7 years, or has it evolved at all since you were like a younger fella?
All I'll say is that I guess there is. Okay, I might need to sort of just give some context. But my first wife, Lauren, passed away in 2014. So I was married, and that was sort of the formative part of our life was in the younger years. So I've almost kind of had this two lives, right? And when that happened, and at that point, you know, when people are like, you'll find someone again, or, you know, you will have an open heart again. And in that moment, you kind of like, I definitely won't, you know, because it's raw and it's real, and you just like, I absolutely won't, and I'll never find that person again. And there were a few people that were like, you need to understand that, you know, the heart can, like, it has so much capacity to like love so many things at once, and you can still love Lauren, and then you can love someone else if that person comes along. And of course, at the time, again, you're like, I just can't see how that's possible. And then someone like Ash comes along, and then it starts to make sense. And you're kind of like, yeah, okay, right. The heart is a pretty special thing, and it can, you know, keep this other part of my life in a nice special box, and I can still love that part of my life and everything that was there. But look at this new love that I get to experience. And so in lots of ways, when I talk about this and I say, oh, I'm kind of, how lucky am I that I got to meet two people, like I got to have two loves of my life, because that doesn't happen to everyone, and didn't ever think it would happen to me, but it has. And yeah, I'm very, I guess, appreciative and grateful that I was able to get it again. But yeah, that's how it's changed for me, is that kind of standard, you meet someone, you stay with that person forever and you love them. Well, that didn't happen for me, but I was absolutely grateful to be able to find someone else and open my heart again and make it like sort of go through the process and work on myself so that I was able to then give again and kind of understand that. So yeah, it definitely changed for me from what I thought it was to what it can be when you really like give into it and, you know, have someone wonderful in your life that, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank
Welcome.
you so much.
Yeah. And Ash, you've been candid about your relationship journey over the years. What surprised you most about being married or in this long-term love?
I think I never, in a weird way, thought that I would never get married, or at least that my work would be my kind of my love, and that no one got that lucky to have kind of a great career and also a great relationship.
Yeah.
So I think I was surprised, first of all, to meet and fall in love with Adrian so quickly. And I guess I never expected that. I mean, some people, like after hearing what Adrian just shared, would maybe expect that our love would be quite complicated, that it would have been a very complicated, hard thing for us to find common ground and move forward together. And I think I maybe was just the most surprising thing was that we were able to like very quickly find so much common ground and be honest and simplify what should have been a really complicated relationship. And still a lot of people are like, oh, how does that work? Like, do you get jealous of her? Or, you know, so there's all these things. Maybe when I went into it initially, I thought, oh, this could be messy, but it hasn't been kind of messy at all. So I'm kind of really proud of us for that. And a lot of that is a testament to kind of Adrian really doing the work and us having a lot of kind of very honest conversations. And I also like never thought that love could be so fulfilling. Like I really did think that my work would fulfill me and love would kind of be the cherry on top. But I think that the relationship that we have is extremely fulfilling, even in all of its different stages and phases. Like it's changed so much. Like when you're two young people who are very much in love and not even living in the same city, there's all that excitement and, like when are we going to be together? We're going to get 3 days and then we're going to have 2 weeks off and we're going to, we had great jobs, we're earning great money, we had no kids, like we had so much disposable cash to take these ridiculous like overseas trips and we just really lived it up, which I think is really important, especially when, you go through what Adrian goes through, like you live your life then and you really enjoy it. And then, there comes phases in life where, with COVID and then with a baby and, and things change and your life changes. And I just didn't think it would be so easy to kind of ride through the ups and downs because I'd never been like that before. I'd needed things to always be as I wanted them and easy, and I needed to control it and make sure I had everything that I wanted and didn't have to wait for anything and never had really discomfort. I kind of built my life around, well, I can just fix everything and make everything amazing.
Yeah.
But, we've had some tough times. But and I always say, as lame as it sounds, like as hard as life has been for us with so much moving and job changes and yada, 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 loving each other has always been extremely easy. So like the ability to kind of ride those waves. And the one thing, and I know it would be the same for you, like the one thing I know to be true, even when everything goes to shit, is that I've got his back, he's got my back, that like we're a team. And that I think is something I never expected to get because I was always so fickle in the past about men, to be perfectly honest. Like I just thought they were like a bit lame. But I found this person that for one, I don't even know how to quantify it. I don't know what it is. It's just a thing where it's like, yeah, you piss me off and we're so different and you take way too long to choose a car park and it's infuriating.
It's the first time hearing about that.
But we're in and I feel so safe in our love and so secure. And that I think has been the most surprising thing and also the thing I'm proudest of.
Fantastic. So beautiful. Beautiful little buddy arrived in 2021. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about him and what has parenthood taught you about yourselves?
God.
That I'm extremely impatient.
Impatient, yeah.
I am so impatient. I want everything to happen on my time. And I want, if, I've got things that I need to do, then I'm so bad at just being like, okay, those things can wait and I need to be here. This is the moment that it actually matters and just being in this moment and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really struggle with patience. Like
I didn't know he
my
was this
gosh,
impatient until we had a child.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I really thought I had it a bit
Yeah.
more under control and I thought I could I don't know. I just thought I'd be able to manage that better, but man.
But that's what he does for a living. He manages people. So I think, and he's very, very good at it. So maybe that's part of it, is that you've got this little person that you
I
can't
can't manage. Like
you
performance manage.
Not a toddler. No.
A toddler, right? Like just
Yeah.
get ready for kindy on the time schedule that I would like you to get ready on, not just I want to play Paw Patrol for 20 minutes and I'm up again. And then that's when I
Yep.
feel like I become a bad dad, is when I'm just like, why am I forcing this kid to like be on my time when he doesn't know what that means?
Yeah.
Sorry, how old? Buddy's 3? Is that
He's
right?
He's going to be
3 and a
4 in a
half,
couple of
yeah.
months and
Yeah,
he's
right.
so big and old. And I'm like, what the heck? What do
Yeah.
you mean? And he's a really smart kid. And I know everyone says their kid's smart, but our kid really is quite smart. So I think we do expect a lot from him because he's been talking, like conversationally talking since before he was 2. So you just kind of forget that he's 3.5, because I can have a conversation with you and you can understand what I'm saying, but you don't have the emotional capacity and intelligence. You can't, you forget that because I'm like, I know you understand. Why aren't you obeying? But he's 3, so he can't do that. So, but you are very impatient, and I'm like the patient mum, which I never saw coming. Like, I'm really zen with him. And
I'm working on it.
you're a great, but you
Working
are a
on it,
wonderful
guys.
dad. You're a great dad.
I remember so vividly the times of just, we've got 3 and they're like grown ups, but just remembering those moments each time vividly of like just going for a walk that should take 5 and it takes, you know, an hour and a half, and just like, okay, this is really about the stop and smell the roses moment where they do want to stop and look at the crack in the sidewalk. They do want to see if there's a flower or a beetle or this, or go back a little bit and they've dropped. It's just like,
Drop something back there.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
like, okay.
When they tell you like 20 minutes after they dropped it, and you're like, oh, and their life will end if they don't have it.
Yeah. Whenever I see like little shoes or little toys out on a walk, I go, oh, some parent's going to be like, dang, where's the other shoe? We had it.
And Adrian can't lose things.
No,
like that
that's
Tim is
right.
once we got a pig from a toy library. We're living in Camberwell, Hawthorne in Melbourne, and we'd gone for a walk and we came back and the pig was gone. And in my mind, I'm like, cool, the pig's gone. We pay the $4 to the toy library for the lost pig.
I looked for the pig for
Adrian
hours.
was-
I retraced those steps. I was like, I'm finding this pig.
And he
even
couldn't
at the
get
moment,
over it.
Do you guys remember that ad? It was a car commercial where the woman, the mum had the little stuffed toy in the car, and the kids thought that they've left it behind.
Yes.
And
Yeah, the
little rabbit
Toyota
thing, and they
ad.
went back
That's
and-
what,
Yeah.
to me, that was
It
our
was in the handbag,
thing.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in. She had it in the handbag.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
dropped it, but the dad's found it. And now the dad's the hero.
That's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they planted
Obviously.
it so the dad could feel good. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
We need that. Dads need that every now and
do.
again.
We do. We need a free kick like that.
Yeah, and Buddy does love his daddy so much. Like we had a year, we both finished. So I quit my radio show when I, was pregnant, and Adrian had also resigned. So
Quit my radio company at the same time.
So we had this glorious first year when Buddy came, where we were at home together and not working.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
it was
so good.
absolute heaven. Like I think as far as maternity leaves go, I couldn't imagine it better, because it was just like we really were a team. Like there were still the moments where I'd be up breastfeeding at 1 a.m, staring at Adrian snoring and seething and wanting to murder him because he was happily asleep. But
then I wake up and go,
what do you need?
what do you need, babe? What do you need? I'm here for you.
Meanwhile, the baby, I've re-swaddled, the baby's back to sleep, and I was just like, just fucking go back to sleep. But we were a real team, and I don't think I was alone with Buddy in that first year. Like, it just didn't happen. So I had this
That's so
wonderful, and going back to work, Adrian was the one to go back to work, and that was a really hard transition for you to like go from seeing, and he was so cute and perfect and lovely that first year.
Yeah,
So-
trying to hang around them all the time.
Yeah, when they're 3.5, you're happy to go to work and it's good to have a
Yeah,
break.
yeah, baby. Bring on work now.
Manage some people at work. But
Yeah.
they've got it right in those Nordic countries because they give paternity leave for a year. Like,
Yeah.
it's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
It's
We felt so lucky.
helpful
Yeah.
like, to have, because I got that connection as well, and I was
Yeah.
able to do some of those special things in the early days. So that was really cool.
And he did have a natural knack for it, honestly. And like, there's still moments in our parenting where Adrian is the one to kind of go, okay, look, 90% of the time it's me kind of, I think, making the decisions around his food and discipline and all those sorts of things, because I'm the one reading all the research, yada, yada, yada. But there have been a couple of times where Adrian's not put his foot down but said, I actually sense that maybe he needs something different. So can you kind of trust me on this? Like with his sleep and usually
the sleep king, baby.
Yeah. I hate to admit it. And often Adrian does have a kind of better, not a better sense, but maybe a sense that's more kind of trained to what Buddy really does need in that moment, as opposed to me getting sometimes too caught up in, well, statistics say and experts say, and but we need to do this, this and that. Whereas Adrian will be like, well, how about we just try this? And I have to go, okay. Like there's been moments where I've disagreed with him but gone, cool, I'm going to shut up and we're going to do it your way, and usually it works.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder with this proliferation of Instagram experts and all these different people putting all this info up and intel, that some of it's really good. I'm sure. Well, I know it is. I know it's good.
Yeah.
Yet when we were raising our kids, the internet wasn't around. It was for the last two, but not for Lotus. And certainly before that, parents had to just go on instinct.
Yeah.
Like that.
Books. You just read books.
Just read
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
Just
What to
tried
expect when
things.
you're expecting, or
Yeah.
that
Classic.
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I read that book, the first
Yeah, we
8
had
pages.
that. Yeah, I read it obviously front to back 5
thick
times.
book, Cam. It's like this
It
big.
was,
It's
wasn't it?
long.
Yeah.
But
Very
you're
And
big.
right,
small
Cam.
print
I
too.
think
Small print, yeah.
I think women are really these days we're taught to not trust our instincts because there's so much kind of conflicting information out there, or really points of view. So that I think if we have another one, I think my approach will be a lot more instinctual rather than like I just beat myself up so much to do everything by the book. Like he has to sleep this way and he's got to not do this before that. And I knew every rule and I would read the research. You know, I'm not just like talking about listening to Instagrammers. I really would, you know, and I think it was part of maybe a reaction to COVID as well and the fear that existed back then where it was just like, okay, well, I can't control anything, but what I can do is make sure that every single thing I do for this baby is by the book so that so that I can't say that anything I did was wrong. And that was how I kind of controlled. And as a result, we had this like really amazing kid who thrived off routine and yada, 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 but at the expense maybe at times of my sanity because I was just doing too much and maybe holding myself to a standard that wasn't possible.
And I'm probably the one that just like pushes the next like what's the next development
Or the milestone.
Or like you know, like 7 months I was like, let's get Buddy out of the bedroom. And
He waited till I was so sick that I couldn't lift my head out of the pillow and said, should we move him out of our room? And I grunted and then fell asleep. And by the time I woke up, he had a nursery set up downstairs.
That's exactly how that went. But I knew that was the only way that this was going to happen. And then we're going to have to do some sort of a clean break here. And then I was prepared for like what that was going to mean. Like, we're going to do the controlled crying and we're going to have to do the like down and one in the room. And it was going to be hell. But it was going to be better in the long run. So I'm sort of more up for we've got to do this now and it's going to be a bit harder. And then whereas
Buddy would still be in my room, I think, if it was up to me because I'm just, it's, you know, and the sleep training, which is, you know, is very controversial. And I think it took one night for Buddy to get it. And if it had taken any more, there's no way I would have pushed through. But on that one night and one night only that we had to let him cry or had chosen to let him cry, he was in our room still and I lay in bed sobbing, just absolutely sobbing. And Adrian's whisper, because you have to whisper, I said, Adrian's like, you need to pull yourself together. And I was like, fuck you don't understand. I birthed him. It is biological. And we're having this full-on fight whisper under the covers,
fight.
just like.
Yeah, whisper fight.
Yeah. But then he got it and it was fine.
The breasts are pumping milk as he's crying because like the body's responding and
Totally. But that was the kind of, I think that was maybe the one point in that kind of newborn phase that we really did kind of clash. But again, I'm proud that I was able to be like, okay, you're his father, so I have to relinquish some control here and do things your way. And thankfully, like it actually changed all of our lives and he, you know, started sleeping through and loved it and, you know, so it was a good thing. But that whisper fight.
It's a different life when they start sleeping and you're sleeping. It's just like a different world. It's so exciting to wake up and see the baby again.
Yes.
And like you haven't spent all night and feel like a vampire, you know, awake at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. It's like,
and when it does happen, it felt like it did happen. Like you go from like it not happening to then waking up one morning and going, did we just get 8 hours of sleep?
Yes.
What the heck? Like it's like, as you say, a game changer. You're just like, whoa, it's been 8 months or 10 months or whatever it was. Yeah, let's just get our life back now.
Yeah.
And then there's the other 15 things that come after that. That just,
teething.
Keep, like, honestly, as you know, there's something every single time. You're like, just when you get on top of it, bang, and you back down to the next thing, whatever it is.
You guys have moved to New Zealand. How long ago was that?
November last year, November 2024. I came across for just a little bit by myself to start with. And
this is for work, yeah?
This is for work, yeah. So we're at Media Works over here, so 2 big sort of media companies, and we're at one of those. And yes, I guess again it sort of just started with a conversation with me about I was sort of out of radio but not very far out, doing some other things, and then it was do you want to come back come over here and have a bit of a crack? And my immediate response was no, thanks. Not really interested in that. But the more we talked about the opportunity and the more interesting it sounded, working with some brands that I'd never worked with, and the challenges that they had in some of the parts of the business, I was like,
Adrian
that
likes
excites me.
fixing things. That's what
I'm a
people
bit of a
hire him to
fixer.
do,
Yeah.
fix things.
Right.
Loves
I
he
like
gets.
things a bit broken. So, yeah, that happened. And then, of course, it very quickly became about a conversation of us. Okay, well, what does that look like for both of us?
Yep.
And, yeah, they were fantastic in talking about that. They were obviously very excited. They were like, oh, we're going to get Ash London as well. How good. So,
Yeah,
yeah, we
big
started
bonus.
to really talk about what that looked like. And if it made sense for both of us, once we got to the end of that, then we would go, well, this is a good opportunity. Because, no, it wasn't on the bingo card to live in New Zealand. And we just are a bit crazy like that. And honestly, we've come here and people are like, what do you mean you've moved from Melbourne to Auckland? Like everybody's trying to go the other way and you idiots are coming over here. And someone said the exact same thing to me just before. And they're like, but you know what? You could be the outlier. You could show everyone how it's done. Like it is possible to go from there to there. We're like, well, we're working on it because we do love it. And we love the lifestyle and we love the people and Buddy loves kindy and there's
He's
a whole
learning
bunch
like
of things,
a lot of te reo, like the Maori language over
how
here.
great.
His
so
kindy.
cute.
Fantastic.
It's wonderful.
He like does little performances for us, and then the other day he did his performance, and at the end of it he goes, and we're like, oh, okay, I don't know if you're running it.
And it's so cool.
But it was so
Very cool.
badass.
Yeah. It was.
Totally.
I
Like
love that.
early on, he said, I think I don't know, it's something. I did something naughty, and he said, "Mummy, that's not showing manaki tanga," and I'm like, the freak
What
is
is
that? So I
that?
get out my phone, Google manaki. Okay,
Yeah.
respect for your environment. No, you're right, Mummy. Wasn't showing manaki tanga. I apologize, buddy.
Yeah, so it's great for us.
Yeah,
And Ash, you're back on air again in New Zealand.
yeah. So I'm doing.
How's that for you? Being
It's
back on air?
great. It's been, again, I didn't think I would return, but the opportunity came up and they've been wonderful. They've let me kind of do it on my own terms and in my own timeline and in a time of day that suits me. I get to kind of go back to doing what I love, which is the interviews and the music stuff. And I do my podcast from out of here as well. So it's given me really nice structure again. Because I've just kind of written my debut novel, Love on the Air, which just came out. and
Yeah,
that
we
kind
want to
of-
talk about that. We do want to touch on that.
Yeah, well, it took up a lot of time. So it's good now to have a bit of structure again and to be able to kind of have my day set out as opposed to just this kind of big 100,000 words that needs to get written in a year and you do it kind of when you can. So we're all very happy here.
Do you share a lot sort of either through the podcast or radio about your life together or do you have like agreements of like this is private time, this is not going to get shared or are you a bit of an open
We both
book?
work in radio. It's all kind of just up for
free for all.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah.
There's one or
there's-
two things that would make the best on-air content of all time, the best phone topics. It would go viral on Instagram.
Yeah,
but
that will never happen. That will never happen.
Got it.
So there is a couple of ground rules
Yeah.
on a few of the bits, as I'm sure there is with lots of people that have talent on the air and are married
But we're
to them.
lucky in that sense that
but
we
yeah,
get it.
Yeah, we can.
And we've always really worked. Like when at one point Adrian was running Kiss Melbourne, and that was the first time that we'd ever not worked at the same radio company. We'd always kind of worked together, and he'd never been my boss. He'd been like across other, like I was on a national show and he was, running Fox. So I was like, well, he's not really my boss. And again, in New Zealand, we're like I think it's what we do best when we kind of work together but not together. Like I love coming to work and being able to just visit his desk when I feel like it. Like that really suits me. And I like
That suits me too, Dale. Yeah, no, really good for my productivity.
So,
10 times a day I walk over there looking for him.
So if you had to swap jobs for the day, who would do better? What would happen?
Oh my gosh,
That's a
I
great,
could never
great question.
ever do his job.
Yeah.
No way. Adrian oversees 3 radio brands
Yeah.
and has to deal with there's so much, task switching that has to exist in his mind. The only bit I'd be good at would be the person knocking on my door to talk about their feelings. Like I'd be like, come on in and sit down. But I would get so emotionally involved in that. Adrian can separate and he's very good with the emotional stuff, but I would be like, just move in with us for a month so you and I can work through the, I would get very,
into it.
I
Yeah.
can't separate
Well,
the emotions.
There's lots of benefits to being married to talent or personalities that are on the air. Like, I get to get a first-hand view of kind of all the things that I'm going to then face at work that day. With, there's egos and there's lots of interesting things that happen there. So I get a bit more experience with that, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, if we were to, I would be, and I did like 5 years on the air back in the day, guys. SAFM in Adelaide. I was the afternoons guy or something. Yeah. And I was reasonably terrible at it. And it's certainly in a show environment where you're having to really draw on experience. And like Ash's superpower is, and I say this a lot with just programming people, you've got to have lived a bit of a life to sort of get on the air and talk about things. And when you can draw on a story from any situation, I know I met that guy once, or, I've also experienced that thing once, and you've got a great example and it leads to a great story. Like that is Ash's superpower without a doubt. There just seems to be always something that Ash can go. And I just don't have that. I'll just be like, I don't have any good examples of that. I'm pretty boring generally. So yeah, there's a definite difference there.
Well, speaking of stories, then your book's come out, Love on the Air, and you've said that it's definitely not an autobiography.
Yeah.
But clearly
inspired. We could say inspired.
It's inspired by true events.
Yeah.
So did you ever think, maybe I should write an autobiography, or is it just a lot easier just to make it into a novel?
I just feel like I'm nearly 40, so I've done a lot of living. I still think I'm 20, but I'm not. I just feel like if I did an autobiography, I'd have to revise it in 5 years, because the one thing I've learned is that whatever you think to be true can change so quickly. Yeah. And I just feel like I've got so much more living to do. But I do feel like, the career I've had in radio so far has been so ridiculous. Like the joys of doing a night show is that you just get to do whatever you want with no real pressure. And I did it in kind of I was at the tail end of the commercial radio endless budget glory days, where it was just like, there's an interview with Harry Styles. Well, we could do it on the phone, but you know what? It'd be better if you just go to LA for a week. And we did that then. Now it would be like, can we afford the Telstra connection to do it on Zoom? Maybe not.
Yeah, that's right.
So I had all these kind of ridiculous, I had a ridiculous career, and then it wasn't until mat leave that I kind of got some distance from it. And I was like, when my life was very mundane and ordinary and beautiful, I kind of looked back on it and I was like, man, that was some crazy ass stuff I did. Like, that's amazing. And also, the idea that Adrian and I, against all odds, kind of, found each other and made it work. What could have been really complicated and messy and hard was actually really beautiful and I think, quite redemptive and amazing. So with that in mind, I kind of, I just started writing, and the first scene that I wrote was kind of based around a time that I got dumped, and I thought I was going to marry this person, and I knocked on my auntie and uncle's door. They lived in Maroubra, around the corner from me, and I was bawled, and they opened the door and said, "Come on in, what's happened?" And I ended up living with them for like 2 years after that, while they kind of, nursed my wounds. And so, yeah, my Auntie May and Uncle Billy are characters in this story, because this person, has the job of their dreams, but they're still technically living at home. So little things like that. And then, like the love story's based on kind of like 10%, but really, like, you've heard it. If our love story was a rom-com novel, it would be 1 page long. It would be like, she went to the party and saw him and they got married and that's the end. Like, so I had to put some drama into it. I had to invent some radio nemesis. I'd never had a radio nemesis, unfortunately, but I invented one of those. And we had to kind of create some drama around it and put some celebrities in there and build a story. And it was so fun. But inevitably, people, like, when our friends read it, they say, "Ash, you just got to tell me straight up, like, do I need to prepare myself to imagine you and Adrian having sex? Like, you've got to warn me, because that's what's going to happen." But I kept it pretty tame for the first book for that reason, because I'm like, people are going to, of course they're going to imagine us.
So first book, is there a second one? Are you into it?
Yeah, so I've started writing another one,
which
is a totally different experience, because you're not, it's very easy to kind of write what you know. And the only like research really that I had to do on the first book was really fun stuff. Like, okay, well, if someone was going to fly to the Maldives first class from Sydney, what airline, what aircraft, what would the menu be, and what would the cabin look like, and what kind of champagne would they order? And that was really fun research. And, you know, we'd stayed at the London Edition on a trip to London once. So like, I'll base it at that hotel because it's a really chic hotel. But, you know, what would the most expensive room be? And then I'd be on the hotel website, like getting the virtual tour. Like that was fun research. The second book I'm working on is something I don't know. So the research has been totally different. And the experience has been totally different. And I feel like now I kind of know how to write a book, whereas the first time I just, you know, you just throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. But, you know, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. But now I know a bit more.
Adrian, have you recovered from having the book dedicated to you yet?
Well, not really, no, because I cried, I think. I cried like a little baby when I saw that.
Who else was like going
lovely.
to
I don't
dedicate
know.
it
I
to?
don't know. Like,
See, if it was the other way around, I would look at that and go, well, obviously, duh. Whereas his was, you were shocked.
I was shocked, but I mean, there was a lot of late night workshopping, storyboarding.
He's amazing. It's why
I
he's so
didn't
good
want
at
to
his
say
job.
it, Dale,
He
but
is.
yes, I was pretty good, wasn't I?
He's got a really great sense of story, and that's why he's good at you know, being creative in radio and helping those content arcs work. And he always had the key when I got stuck, and it would kill me because sometimes I'd wait 3, 4, 5, 6 days to ask him, and then I'd be lying in bed at night. I'd be like, "You awake? Yeah, what do you need?" And then we'd roll over towards each other, and then he'd always, "What about if she did this?" And I go, "Yep, thank you." Then I go and write it every time.
That's so good.
That's great.
It was, It was magic to watch. Just the ideas come to life. It was so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, the book's out. Love on the Air is out, and we got to get it because I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy reading.
You'll relate, honey. You'll relate.
You
I think There's
will.
some stuff in there you might like. Yep, definitely.
Maybe you'll recognise some of the bad guys, the radio bad guys.
I wouldn't say this on this podcast. Absolutely not.
You're going to create a radio nemesis right now. Hey, we do a rapid heartbeat wind up for the potty. And so just both answer the question, please, and just keep your answer short.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Off you go.
What brings you joy?
Time together with family, friends.
Food. That's true.
And it's
No, that is
so
a good
good
one.
in New Zealand.
That
The
is a
food
good
is
one.
so good where you
thank
are.
you.
Right?
Thank you.
So cheap, man. Very cheap. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. What's one habit you each do that the other finds adorable?
Oh, I thought you were about to say annoying, and
I
I'd
know.
say sighing.
Adorable.
We switch it up.
No,
We switch it
adorable.
up.
Adorable.
Um,
Nice harmony.
Oh, I got one. He's become obsessed with golf. So he thinks I don't know that he's either looking at golf tutorial videos, clubs, or booking in a tea time on his phone. But I can see by the look on his face that it's golf related, and it's very, very cute how much joy it brings him.
I think Ash, as I said, is a very good storyteller.
I don't know what you're going to say.
No, but and so when we're out with friends or meeting new people, like, yeah, I hear the same stories like 17 times over because like we're regaling these people with these wonderful stories, and I do often give feedback like, oh God, I think you. But I actually secretly love it, obviously, and I find it very adorable that that we're there, and she's got everyone like hanging on the edge of the table, just like, and then what happened, and then what happened, and yes, so I do find that adorable.
I get little air checks.
Little air checks of the
From
stories. That
Adrian,
could have been a
which
bit
is
shorter.
really- keep it tight.
Keep it tighter.
You
Left
messed
out a
up
few
that
details
little
there.
bit.
Yeah.
Got it. Finish this sentence. What the world needs more of is.
Gratitude.
People like Ash who want to get a message out there and are not afraid to talk about things that maybe other people find uncomfortable.
You sure don't want to slide some golf references?
More discounted golf clubs so that I can afford to buy them.
All right, last question. One word to describe each other.
I think joyful is the word for Ash. Joyful.
Thanks, darling.
Beautiful.
We've loved this chat. Thank you so much.
So lovely.
Thanks, Ash.
For being here.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, guys. Always a pleasure
Yeah.
talking about wonderful things.
I
Yeah,
know.
really great to talk to you. Thanks for the time.